Hallelujah! Thank you to our final patrons, Redwolf4765, Midnight Gemlord, and Sean. Thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays and Redwolf4765. And a very big thank you to our $25 patron, Alex Ice Rose. Before we hop into this breakdown / review of chapter 383 of My Hero Academia, please remember to leave your own in the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, we do a Patreon below. Each more as low as $1 month. Listen to videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, let's hop into chapter 383. What's up, guys? All here, and here we are to read chapter 383 of My Hero Academia, which is known as A Small Heart. And I will admit, Hori, I like what you did here, buddy, but I need you to do me a favor. The reason they call it setup is because you set things up before you do the reveal. So, Brody, I humbly request you, from the bottom of my heart, stop showing us what led to certain situations after the fact, bro. It just makes me feel like you didn't know how to write your story in the proper way. But regardless, let's hop right into the chapter itself. So we open up and we do get to see that things are not going good, because we're flashing back in time before things were going good. I'm sorry. I feel bad whenever I need to complain about stuff like this, but how do I put this? Have you ever tried to build a house? No, that's a bit too large scale. Maybe not build a house. Let me think. What is a good meta? I feel like everyone has played with Legos or some sort of Lego equivalent. I ask you this: do you start from the bottom up or the top down? Say hypothetically you were building a bridge, a Lego bridge. I know I have built one before. So I question you. Do the instructions tell you to start from the top of the Lego bridge and work your way downwards? Or do they tell you to start from the bottom of the Lego bridge and build your way up? I don't know about what your Lego instructions told you, but my Lego instructions told me to build from the bottom up. So, Hori, I appreciate that you're showing us this, because we are opening up the chapter with seeing, after the news of Shoto Todoroki taking down Dabi, we are at the Jaku hospital ruins outside Machia's detainment facility, and it is now under attack. But dude, why couldn't this chapter be shown before this? Earlier, so you could set it up. That's the thing. This is the only thing that I'm I have many issues with Horikoshi's writing. Trust me. If you've watched any of my other reviews, you've heard me complain about certain writing choices he makes with characters, how he decides to write some story arcs, how he fails to write some story arcs. I definitely have my critiques. But I think one of my biggest pet peeves with Horikoshi is the fact that it just feels like he's always doing the big reveal before the setup. He's always building the bridge from the top down. Because there's no reason that this whole chapter couldn't have come out literally right after the Shoto taking down Dabi chapter. You literally could have released it right after that, and then there would be no issues with this setup. Not a single one. And sure, you would spoil the fact that Machia is under control by the end of this chapter, but even still, you can just push that to the background. Let it fade in some people's minds. Let us theorize about what Machia is going to be used for. And then you show him off at the end of chapter 382. Then you do that. So then when we get that moment, it doesn't feel random. It feels like, oh, we had this set up. We had the setup Now here's the payoff. Beautiful. I don't know. It's like simple things. Simple things. This man wrote Endeavor. I know for a fact he knows how to do setups and payoffs. It's not out of his pay grade. He has written multiple setups and payoffs before. So I wonder, why does he do this? Part of me wants to blame it on just not planning. Like, I'm not sure if Horikoshi like actually has written down somewhere how he like plans to progress the plot at all. I think he writes how I write when I do like my general, whenever I do my rewrites or my general like fan fiction, which is essentially what it is. I typically will like plot out big general points, big major points of change or impact. Why do I do that? Because I'm not writing a whole proper story. Usually I'm writing some major changes that have major impacts, and then they change accordingly. That's why I only focus on those moments, because the in-betweens don't necessarily matter all too much, because the payoff is going to be built in regardless, because before you even get the what if for the video out, I have most likely written out the entire thing, or at least have a general enough idea of very specific points of major interest to where there will be nothing like what Horikoshi does. What Horikoshi has been doing consistently, I think it's probably happened before, but the most major examples of it really kicked in and made me feel it around the war arc, the first war arc. It's always the payoff and then the setup. That doesn't work. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. It makes me feel like you're just wasting, not even, I suppose wasting our time isn't the right word, but it just doesn't feel right. Like, the first major example I can think of, Float in its entire reveal. We end off a chapter with Deku having Float, and then we go to set up why Deku has Float at the start of the next chapter. Why do it that way? Why not just, I don't know, set up the fact that Midoriya has Float and he was training with it? It doesn't have to be much. Just give us a panel. Give us a panel. Give us a few panels. Let us notice it. Let it be there. You've done that before, Hori. You can do that. Next major example, Lemillion coming back. We end off a chapter with Lemillion coming back. What do we have to spend the next first part of the chapter doing? Oh, we got to explain why Lemillion is back and why all that's done. There is definitely a little bit of setup there because Aries' horn is smaller, but even then, I don't think that fully explains that Lemillion is going to come back. You could have hinted at that better. Use setup. Setup only makes your story better. No one's going to complain that you went out of your way to take the time of the day to actually set up a big reveal instead of just dropping it on us and then retroactively giving us setup. It's not scary, Hori. It's how stories work. Like, I'm sorry, you aren't rewriting the basic fundamental structure of narratives in any sort of greater way. In fact, you're just making it worse. I'm sorry, I had to open up with this big, long rant complaint about that, mainly because it's been bothering me for a while, and I've never necessarily been able to, like, galvanize it and put it to words specifically, but now that it's here, and it's present, and I can lay my sticky fingers on it, I'm going to do it, because I don't know, this is like the 5th time that it's happened, and I'm getting just a little bit nettled, just a little bit annoyed with it, but regardless, we do get to see that Gigantomachia is, see, the thing is, it feels like, once again, because, I'm sorry, I know I'm immediately going back into the rant, but because I know that this works out, why do I care that this is happening? This whole chapter is tensionless, because you literally showed me, not, well, maybe it was like 3 weeks ago now, but you literally showed me right at the end that Shinso, Kirishima, and Gigantomachia are here, and they're on the hero's side. All the tension in this chapter is sucked out. Sure, do you still get some character stuff from the chapter? Yes. Am I definitely a character kind of guy first? Yes. Do I appreciate a good reread where I already know things are going to happen? Yes. But specifically within the context of this, I just don't like, how do you guys feel about this? Do you guys well, I suppose do you guys like it? I guess here's the question, because Horikoshi has done a lot. So do you guys like it when Hori will give you the reveal and then go back in time after the fact, after the reveal, to do the setup for why the reveal is the way it is? Do you guys like that? And if so, am I really just tripping about it? Do I really just obsess too much over like general narrative structure and I need to chillax? Or do you guys agree with me and think that, yeah, Hori, you should do the setup before the payoff, because it's just like how setup and payoff work? Let me know down below. I will try not to talk about it anymore, even though it'll probably slip out here and there. However, with the fact that we are, in fact, at the Jaku Hospital ruins, outside of Jabu Jabu's belly, we are, in fact, with the people who want to free Gigantomachia. And we see that Mineta's here. do with that what you will. We see that Mina's here and he's asking, what the heck just happened? Everything was going so well. And we see that Mudman is like, uh-oh, floating enemies are immune to my softness quirk. We are kind of done, son. So essentially, their main strategy here was just to sink people into the ground using Mudman. So hopefully no one could really get in. But considering the fact that flying quirks are pretty common and there would definitely be people prepared for something like that, considering All For One has massive amounts of information on UA, it would make sense that there's at least one person there that can fly and pretty much ignore all of that. And we see this one person is in fact someone with a very peculiar design. I keep forgetting who he is, and I couldn't like immediately casually Google. Hold on, let me try one more time. Yeah, I still couldn't exactly find this guy anywhere. Like, I think this could hypothetically be Trumpet, the one guy from the My Villain Academia arc, but I'm not exactly sure. The only reason I think that is because he makes a callback to Redestro, but I can't definitively find the dude, and I'll triple check as I reread this chapter again, but I don't think they say his name anywhere. He's just a dude who happens to say something about this. Between this high-frequency sound transmitter and thanks to the raw power of our quirks, our mission is in the bag. You try to stop our plan, but your efforts failed miserably. This device was designed specifically to broadcast All For One's voice. His words will penetrate the walls of the prison, no matter how thick. And due to his dog quirk, Machia's ears cannot fail to pick them up. So, a couple things. One, why is Machia not on, like, the heaviest, thickest, juiciest, most insane concoction of sleeping juice ever? Like, I'm talking literally have Yaoyorozu spend multiple days pumping out whatever illegal substance she magically knows how to make for literal days. I'm not sure how much time they had before the start of the war and the time they initiated the war. Like, literally, I'm not sure how much time they had, but at least for 8 hours. Have Yaoyorozu constantly eating and just dripping that stuff out. Like, you need vats upon vats upon vats upon vats upon vats. Like, if we cannot or are not going to take Gigantomachia's life, because, you know, heroes don't take lives. Yeah, whatever. If we are going to do that, he should be under such thick, juicy, insane in the membrane stuff that bro's essentially brain dead. Like, put him in a medical coma. Why is it even possible that he could hear anything? Like, straight up cut his ears off or something. Like, why? Especially considering he is literally like the last thing you need to wake up. Like, out of all things on this good green earth, outside of the two free-roaming things, which are All For One and Shigaraki before the start of the war, this is like the one asset that you could never have awaken. Because it's literally a walking calamity. Bro threw Mount Lady like she was a paper bag. Like, legitimately, it was diabolical and disgusting how badly she got body bagged. And you already have Midoriya fighting Shigaraki. At least that was the plan at the start of the war. And then you already have Endeavor on All For One. You could not introduce a new asset ever. So the fact that they didn't have Yaoyorozu pumping this man with the finest of sleeping, the finest of sleep, is absolutely bonkers to me. I think that's some like oversight, under planning, poor management, whatever. Bro should be gone. Bro should literally be gone. But with that, it's very weird to have like a dog quirk. I don't know why, thinking about it. Like, we literally have a hero called like Hound Dog or Watchdog or whatever, but for some reason just hearing like seeing this dude with this weird elephant trunk mask being like, and due to his dog quirk, Machia's ears cannot fail to pick them up. Like, that's gotta suck. Like, imagine giving birth to a dog. Like, you're just chilling out, and imagine you own a dog and then you give birth to a dog. Like, or at least a person who's like half dog. Like, you're really sitting there thinking like, wow, this is one I like own and take for walks on a leash. Do I have to take the child of mine on walks for a leash? Like, legitimately, imagine being born just as an animal. I know I'm feeding into like the whole stereotypical stuff of the My Hero Academia culture, but yeah, I would be a little bit concerned too. But regardless, we do get to see as Trumpet, I'm not exactly sure who, is talking all this talk. We are once again getting more fake tension because we already know what happens here with Mount Lady, Goat Lady. Legitimately, I have a whole video that I've already scripted out completely that I'm hesitant on recording and releasing because I am scared of the internet. But with that being the case, Mountain Lady is one of the best characters Horikoshi has written. It is just a massive, unbelievable shame that a majority of her character arc and her character development takes place off screen. We really just see the end results of it all, and that's really whack to me. But I know, people don't care. But with this being the case, with one of the best characters in My Hero Academia on the low, literally like, is she a top 10 character? She may be top 8. She may be top 7. She may be, let me think. Endeavor. Pre-War Arc Shigaraki. All Might. Bakugo. I think I have to stop being biased against Midori and just throw Midori in there, even though I don't like his writing. So, yeah, she's definitely like a top 10 character. But regardless, we see that she believes that Machia can absolutely not wake up. I refuse to let that happen. But you know what? I actually legitimately wonder this. Now that I'm thinking about it, once again, since I am unhappy with the whole state of things in terms of like how Horikoshi is releasing the manga and like writing it in terms of pacing and progression. If what happens at the end of this chapter, and what was revealed to happen at the end of the last chapter, could happen at any time, why didn't they open with Machia? It's not like, I mean, I guess it's like too much of a wild, I can kind of see why, because I guess it'd be too much of a wild card, right? Like maybe you only want to use him as a method of last resort, but like, if you were gonna bring him towards All for One anyway, right? Like, why not just have him on standby somewhere else, right? Like, wouldn't that make more sense? Like, instead of having him knocked out here and hypothetically, essentially wait, like, you could reallocate all these heroes to somewhere else. As long as you just had Shinso controlling Machia from RIP. Because there's no reason not to, right? If you know they're going to come here and you know they're going to try and get Machia back, wouldn't it be better to have Machia already under your control and just waiting on standby? So if anyone does come to try and get him, he can just swipe him away like he does later in the chapter. And if you do need him at any particular battle, you have him like evenly positioned between the two battle spots so he can go to wherever he's needed. I wonder if that's like me just thinking too hard about it, or there's like some wild. I'm thinking it's mostly because of the wild card aspect, but they seem so confident in this plan, as we'll get to later on in the chapter. So I really wonder. However, speaking of quirks that are low-key underrated, forget the dog quirk. Yo, Rule-chan, or Kodai, Class B Kodai-san's hero name, yo, her ability's kind of cracked. I kind of forgot how like stupid her ability is. The fact that she can just like take a regular looking wrench and just throw it up, say the word big, and now it's big enough that Mount Lady can wield it like a broadsword. That's she could literally solve world hunger. She is in the wrong position in life. She chose the wrong path. Lady, you should not be out here trying to fight villains. You should be out here trying to fight climate change. You should be out here trying to fight world hunger. Out here trying to fight any shortage problem that ever make more water. Imagine she took a cup of fresh water and just made it big. Imagine she went to the icebergs or the ice caps that are melting and just made them big. She could restore entire environments with just a single tree by saying big. Now, notably, I'm not exactly sure how her quirk works. Once again, we see this character once every 5,000 years. But with that being the case, like, I don't know. Let her cook a little bit. Like, legitimately, like, put her in the right situation and you can make some. Not only would she be making mad bread, but she'd also still be helping people as a hero. I highly doubt she's a combat hero. I don't necessarily see who she's fighting down here. So I'm not sure. I think she's in the wrong field. However, we do get to see the main reason Mount Lady's so against Gigantomachia waking up and doing his due is because bro was essentially like a walking natural disaster. Walking, living, breathing. Like, personally, I don't even blame her. I would also be traumatized if someone threw me around like I was a paper bag. Like, once again, no offense to Mount Lady, like she's like out of shape or anything, but when you're like 67 feet tall, I believe, you're pretty beefy. You probably don't expect to be getting thrown around like that. Yeah, she got yeeted. Like, one hand yeeted too. It's not even like Machia was really trying or paying attention to her. He was just like, oh, there's like a bug on my back. Ew, and threw her. through her like lightweight. I don't even blame her for being a little bit concerned, a little bit scared. But speaking of a little bit concerned, a little bit scared, we do see that Machia does in fact break free. Comes on out and immediately, like even worse than last time, just casually one-shots Mount Lady. Like you literally don't see her for the rest of the chapter after. Wait, let me double check. I don't think you see her at all throughout the rest of the chapter after. Oh no, you do see her. You do see her towards the end, but she very specifically did get one shot by Machia. Just Machia waking up too. Like presumably he was knocked out or something at least. Like when he tears out of the detainment facility, like everything falls around him and you see he's covered in wires, but like obviously whatever he had was not enough. He needed to be on way more Za because he casually one-shots his competition, which is crazy. And to think, once again, I wonder why they didn't have him. Like, you could literally keep him in the exact same spot. Just have him under Shinso's control. Like, just have him whisper, "How you doing, little mama? Let me whisper in your ear." And then bada bing, bada boom, Makia's like, "What?" And then he's under Shinso's control. I'm not sure why they wouldn't do that, but, you know, you gotta have plot, you gotta have tension. Something I always gotta remind myself is that, like, unless you're on some, like, JJK or Sakamoto days or, like, that's about it, kind of mindset, you can't necessarily 100% take logic into it. It obviously makes sense on a narrative level to have Machia unrestricted so we can have a little bit of false tension. And we do get to see the one character who fumbled with Machia before, Mina Ashido, looking upon the massive man. And we see the one character that stole her moment. I'm sorry, I'm still salty about it. In the first war arc, I do think Mina, like, here's the thing, right? If I had to track it, if I had to write it out, I think the first moment should have just been Kirishima's moment, where he has the flashback against Rappa. He comes up, he has his little moment there. Mina then has her first real inexperienced combat moment in the war arc, and she succeeds. She's the one who gets Machia's throat all lodged up with the illegal substances that Yorozu makes. Then we have them working together in this final part right here, like we do in this chapter. And then we have a full culmination. One inspired the other, who then proceeds to get inspired by the other, and then they proceed to inspire each other to work together. I think it literally could have been that simple. I guess it just wasn't, though. But I'm sorry, I'll complain about that at its own later date. We do get to see that Kirishima pulls up and he explains, "The escort mission is done. At the start of our master plan, we managed to warp Shinso here without the villains realizing it. And he's been hiding ever since." Once again, why hide? Why hide him? And why not? And like, I'm not sure if Shinso's brainwashing or brain control has like a range limit. I'm not sure he has to be within a certain range of an individual. But why not, before the war even starts, have Shinso brainwash Maki and tell him to just sit there. Tell him to just stay still and not move unless he says so. And then Maki is stuck, right? Like, you don't even have to teleport him here. He just stays there. And you can hypothetically have someone, or at least like one person, posted up here. Maybe Kirishima, because he's durable. And then, bada bing, bada boom, he's all good. You have Maki as a hypothetical resource and not a liability. But, once again, plot. And we do get to see that Kirishima's like, "Ayo, Shinso, we should have done this earlier. You need to brainwash that man." And we see Shinso is there. But plot twist, it's not actually Shinso, it's Sludgy Boy, and he is glumping all over Shinso. And I know the 50 million different Shinso fans out there wish they were that Blobby Boy, because he is all up in Shinso's guts. But we do get to see that Slobby Man goes on a tirade of sorts. He says, "They found out. If Machia wakes up, we're guaranteed to win. So I don't need to put myself in danger, right? The heroes who are still here today have guts. So I only pretended to put up I only pretended to put up a fight before I went into hiding. But now I've discovered a twerp. Surely he'll be easier to control than that brat I ran into at that time." Shoutouts to Bakugo. Still ain't even confirmed alive yet. Or, we know he's not confirmed gone. So, still hasn't even been revived yet, but still getting clout. Shoutouts to my boy. But regardless, why was no one watching him? Like, I get it. He's not necessarily like a but that's the thing. He's not even really a combat hero. So why was no one concerned about their one win button? Like, sure, let's say for some reason there's some unknown explanation to why Machia isn't already brainwashed. Why was Shinso left unguarded? I get it. He is capable of defending himself with the whatever tool he has that he got from Aizawa and stuff like that. He is trained physically, but come on now. This is the one thing that stops a literal walking calamity from being, a walking calamity. But you have him under no surveillance, no protection, so Mr. Glompy Boy can come over here and glomp all over him without a glomp in the world. Like, really? Really? Like, how... I didn't even mean to critique this chapter as much as I went into it, but I'm starting to think too much. Oh no, my brain, my neurons, they're actually firing. But like, actively thinking about it, how do you do that? How can you be that slow? How can you be thinking that little? But regardless, we do get to see that we are back with Trump, and he's like, the weak are destined to suffer. As that Trump... Oh, wait, can I hit a Zemnis voice? I think Zemnis would work well for him. Their hearts burgeon. The weak are destined to suffer Sora, as they are trampled upon. It's just the way the world works, Riku. Might determines right and wrong. I need to listen to way more Zemnis clips before I even attempt to do that voice. But to be fair, within a world that is so heavily oriented around quirks, as sad as that sounds, he's kind of right. Like, yeah, the dude who literally has a quirk that allows him to take all other quirks is gonna be stronger and is gonna be able to determine what's right and wrong. And he literally did for, decades on end, until what happened? A stronger guide showed up and then beat him into the ground and then traumatized him to the point where, guess what? Now he was right. Why? Because he was the strongest. He had the most might. He had all the might, if you will. And thusly, he became justice. He became control. He became the highlighting center. So as wrong as it is, like on a conceptual level, like we don't like to imagine that, we don't actually have any individual power. If you are physically weak, you are therefore lesser than someone who is physically powerful. As sad as that sounds, and I'd say it's pretty much untrue in our world. I'd say the strongest guy on the planet, if he's socially inept, then he's not going to succeed in life in comparison to one of the weakest people on the planet who is either intelligent or socially skilled or something like that. They will get a lot farther. In a world of superpowers and abilities, yeah, he's actually kind of right. And that's probably like the whole reason Lex Luthor even has a leg to stand on when it comes to Superman. But with that being the case, we see that Kirishima lunges in an attempt to save Shinso, right? Which is very ironic. I bet he would try to do the same thing if it was Bakugo. Bakugo. And we do get to see that Machia is currently just dogging on Mount Lady. I thought she didn't show up later on in the chapter, but nah, bro is schmoovin', and specifically on Mount Lady. Notably, like we see, she's somewhat fighting back, but it's not really. She doesn't land a single hit on Brody. And we see that Trumpet with his mega mouth is like, today's the age, Sora. Riku, today is the age of our liberation. And we see that finally, I'm sorry, I've been drowning this review in so much negativity, but this is actually something I do like. Finally, after all this time, Mina gets to finally cook a little bit. And we see maximum output, Acid Man Alma. And we see she dives in between Machia and Mount Lady as Mount Lady's about to get 3 spears to the head. Machia was really about to pierce her down. Like, I know a lot of y'all want to pierce her down. And we see that she tears through, and seemingly enough, like, yeah, she pierces holes straight through Machia's claws, right on through them to the point where they literally disintegrate and shatter. And we see that with this being the case, this wasn't actually like Mina moving through it. Despite it being called Acid Man, it wasn't her. In fact, it was a quirk awakening. My favorite mechanic. I hate quirk awakening. I'm sorry. Like, how do I put this? I need to make a whole video about how I think quirk awakenings are so stupid. I like Shigaraki's quirk awakening because it's not a quirk awakening, it's a quirk reversion. I like Twice's quirk awakening because it's not a quirk awakening, it's a quirk reversion. But whatever, another topic for another day. We see that once again, another act of Horikoshi telling us, but not showing us, huh? Wait, shooting something like that? At that time, I wasn't able to make it very far. So many people perished and everything was destroyed. But now that I've made use of Bakugo and Todoroki's training methods, enough is enough. When did that happen? Like, when did that occur? Ever? What? Like, the only reason I'm letting this slide is because I'm happy a female character is getting to do something within My Hero Academia. That's it. That is it. But, like, on a conceptual level, her apparently magically doing Bakugo and Todoroki's training off screen, like, usually Horikoshi can sometimes pull a panel out to loosely reference something he's done in the past. He knows that's pure nonsense. He knows he just needs Mina to be strong enough for this moment, in this particular moment, so he did no build up for it, and he's just saying things. But it's all nonsense. I don't like it, but I'm happy that Mina's getting to do something. And we see, while Mina's getting to do something, she also proceeds to lunge in and help Kirishima save Shinso. And I'm down for that. Sure, she did something against Machia, which I appreciate. She faltered against Machia before. She's not faltering now. We love that. And we see that she is sick and tired of failing to protect the one she cares about. So she saves Shinso, and she saves Kirishima from Sludgy Boy. And Sludgy Boy realizes that, acid! She turned my sludge into a liability. It's mixing inside and around me. Yeah, that's gotta be awkward. Like, just imagine you suddenly just became 80% water instead of 70% water. That'd be kind of whack. But we do see that Shinso is now freed and wasting no time at all. The sludge guy tries to get away, but with that being the case, he does not know Shinso's quirk at all. So when Shinso yells, wait, the sludge guy immediately responds and falls right into Shinso's trap. And Shinso has him locked down immediately because he's now brainwashed. And we see that we once again call... I feel like I'm so negative on this chapter. I wasn't so negative in the live reaction. Go check out the live reaction. It's on Patreon for as low as $1 a month. Or you can become a member right now for the channel. Just click on the join button next to the subscribe button. And you can become a member for as low as $3 a month. You can check out the live reaction there. But more negativity. I'm sorry. I feel bad being negative. But this is my review, and I will tell you what I think. Hey, Midnight fans. Can you tell me why you are Midnight fans? And not you, Midnight fans. Not you particular Midnight fans. I know exactly why you're fans of Midnight. But, like, the Midnight fans that actually cared about the character. Can you tell me why? This is just a genuine question. Because, like, admittedly, there are characters who I grow extremely fond to over very short periods of time in other manga. In other works of fiction in general. I love way too many characters that have, like, 5 seconds of screen time. I'll be completely real with you. But I never necessarily got this whole, like, hype behind Midnight. Like, we see Kirishima goes, Ashido, and we see Ashido goes on to say, Shoji never gave in to revenge. I love Midnight Sensei's classes. I know full well that things are scary when you're weak, because I'm weak. That's why I want you by my side. But, like, it's the Midnight thing that gets to me. Sure, whatever. Ashido thinks herself as weak, and we get a whole bunch of flashbacks of student stuff. And honestly, I'll get to the other thing that you may want to fight me for later, but I don't get the Midnight hype. I still don't, like, it happened again in the anime, where, like, I saw it all over social media, everyone's like, oh no, Midnight's gone, Midnight this, Midnight that, Midnight, oh no, but I'm sitting there like, who was Midnight? Why do you all care? She had one fight, and then maybe, like, I'm confident, maybe a chapter and a half, like, if you were to compile all the Midnight panels that are pre her end, which we don't even get to see, by the way, it happens off screen. If that's how important the character was, you can't even execute him on screen, you had to execute him off screen. But if you were to compile all the panels she appears in, you would probably get at most a chapter and a half. That's bonkers to me, that this character had such an impact to the point where people are really meat munching her like this. But hey, you know, who am I to judge? You're looking at a guy who, like, really likes Ichichi from JJK. Because I think he's a cool kid. That's it. That's literally it. He's had even less screen time than Midnight, but I really like him. So, you know, I'm just throwing it out there. Please tell me why y'all like Midnight. But regardless, we do get to see fuel for my top ship. Like, I'm not a Bakuraka shipper. Well, I am, but that's another topic for another time. But like, it's not Bakuraka. It's not Todomomo. It's not Dekuraka. No. You want to know my top of the line, cream of the crop? I will fight somebody. No, I won't. But I will stand on a hill for this. Yeah. It's Kiri Mina. I'm sorry, all you Kiribaku shippers out there. I just don't see it. I just think they're really good bros. Like, you don't have a best friend until you fist fight each other. No, I'm kidding. But like, legitimately, I don't see it. Like, do whatever you will. They are fictional characters. Ship them however you want. But I'm very much a Kira Mina shipper. That's my boy. A Kirshido. That's my ship. But regardless, I know no one's here to this point in the video to actually get mad at me for that. Beautiful. But regardless, we do get to see that Ashido's like, isn't that the way it's supposed to be? And not just for us, but for you guys as well? We're all comrades. And we see that Trumpet flashes back to Redestro, which is why I think it's Trumpet, but I'm not exactly sure. No matter how much you screech, your voice won't reach him. He can't be stopped. Machia, master. It will reach, because Shinso's a cheat character. Why did you not have him under control previously? And we do get to see that Shinso lands up and he's like, ayo, do me a favor. Just reduce this plot to ashes. SWAT everyone floating in the air. And Machia immediately does that, takes out all the competition, saves Mount Lady, and we do get to see that Shinso's like, hey, would you look at that? I used Tartarus's recordings and my Persona chords, Persona, to mimic All For One's voice. All I need is a single response from him to completely eradicate and counteract their sound transmissions. And we see, from using so much acid, Mina's now dehydrated. And we see that Kirishima views himself as useless, but now both of them are even. Both of them are happy, and they're always each other's heroes. Oh, I love it. Best ship. And we do get to see that now that Machia's whole save and rescue has been destroyed, they're now going to restrain them and get them all ready for transportation, all the enemies. And then we get the call-in about All For One, who reverted and went 3. And then we see that they're going to cling on to this thread of hope and use everything they got to take down All For One. And we cut back to the present after that chapter. And we see Teen For One fighting against every single op in the multiverse. He's got Tokoyami throwing hands with him. He's got Inasa throwing winds around at him. He's got Mount Lady still with her giant wrench coming in to swing on him. And he's got Machia prepping another mountain. So yeah, All For One's in a lot of trouble, and he's definitely fighting back. And we see there is a chopper in the distance. I'm going to assume this chopper is going to be on All For One's side. I'm not exactly sure what other heroes could show up to really help. So I'm assuming All For One's going to get some support next chapter, and we do not have a break next week. So, in spite of all the complaining I did this chapter, yeah, the chapter is still heat. What can I say? I still like my character stuff. I still like Mina. I still like Kirishima. I still like Shinso. I still think Maki is a neat concept. And Mountain Lady is one of my favorite characters in the entire series, so I love seeing her. And this chapter obviously got a lot of discussion out of me. So, I still really, really like the chapter. It's still like a solid 8. Yeah, I'll give it a 7. It's a solid 7 out of 10. It just, once again, the pacing, the plot of the story, how Horikoshi's writing it. I'm not a fan of all that, but I'm still a fan of what Horikoshi does. Bro still goated. The art the art is still amazing. Everything's still good. It is still peak. However, that's what I think. Please what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure the notifications will be out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do a Patreon below. Each over as low as $1 a month. Let's use videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dago the Pencil, writing off.